horrifying images, documents, testimonials, testimonies, fragments of people's lives. So having come from my performance as Wiesenthal in Hungary in 1989, it was with some trepidation, a certain degree of, I think genuine fear is the right word, or perhaps, to put it more gently, a reluctance to go to Poland and to visit that period of history again, because I knew from my experiences in 1989 just how extremely painful that process was for me, and that I would indeed be opening up old wounds. It was an extremely difficult job performing in Schindler's List, and you see, if you are curious and you are alert, and you are filming in Poland for 3.5 months with a genius like Spielberg, who recreates to the minutest detail the Holocaust, there is in fact, as soon as you arrive, no further need for preparation. Because every single day, the information that the actor requires, if he is alert and curious, is coming in huge waves. We were in the same streets, we were in the same ghetto, we even took our cameras to Auschwitz, which is the blackest hole that the human being has ever invented. Now, you asked me about preparation. I hope that you can see that all we had to do as actors was to keep our eyes open and be alert to our director and the job in hand. Because, as some of you may be aware, there are some changes that have taken place in Poland. There are some changes that have not taken place in Poland. So the information needed to transmit that degree of anguish and grief, and perhaps ultimate triumph onto the screen, the information necessary, thanks to our great director, our great screenwriter, and an extraordinary team of actors, technicians, designers, drivers, electricians, soundmen, cameramen, extras, etc., etc., etc. All we needed to do was to translate what we could still feel in Poland and channel it through that wonderful narrative eye and skill of Steven Spielberg. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't want any of you to go away with the impression that the actor spends a month in a library, or a month with his books, or a month looking at photographs in newsreel, and then he takes that information and goes off to do the work. On the contrary, the information is coming in all the time you're working, so that in a sense, every second that one is filming, one is also preparing for the next second of filming. It's a constant process. It's a self-perpetuating process, providing, I say, that you're doing your job properly and you are alert and curious as an actor.
As an actor who was involved with the role, you had to undergo the kind of emotional disturbances when you were performing in Poland or during all those horrible scenes.
I think that's a very valid and a very good question, and I will address myself to it as best as I can. We always hope as actors, perhaps, that we can maintain some kind of a distance, some kind of a barrier between our portrayal and, what is that? Okay, thanks. Between ourselves and the character we're asked to portray. And to be honest, I've always prided myself in being able to sustain a certain degree of detachment from the role and from the rigors of my character. And my repertoire up until Schindler's List will bear that out, that I have played some extremely difficult roles. I think that the job I do for a living is possibly one of the hardest jobs in the world. The job I do for a living. The acting path that I have chosen is not an easy one. And to be as candid as possible, I did find filming Isaac Stern a very, very disturbing experience indeed. There were many mornings where I would arrive on the film set in a state that I can only describe as rage, a state of rage against possibly the ugliest face of racism that the world has ever seen. I have, and I share with probably every single person in this room, an absolute abhorrence of racism, an absolute abhorrence of anti-Semitism.